Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. I am Precious Mzea. Sakaleji, the headlines. The Zambian government distances itself from promoting gay rights. Unknown people ravaged the graveyard in MWINULUNGA district. The church taught to focus on underprivileged citizens. In international news, exposure to mercury in mining town damaging health of women in Cameroon. And in sports, KAFUE CELTIC Football Club keen to nurture more footballers. Join me with the main news in detail after this commercial.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN 096 296 5883. For Airtel 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
And now the main news in detail. The alleged abandonment of an old woman in Lusaka West by her family on allegations that she practices witchcraft has ached the Council of Churches in Zambia, CCZ. Speaking to Camnet News, CCZ Secretary General Father Emmanuel Chikoya has called on churches across the country to focus less on prosperity teaching but instead focus on inculcating moral values in congregants to avoid such incidents. And medical doctor Teddy Mlenga says the Ministry of Health needs to increase sensitization on diseases such as dementia, saying many people mistaken most old age symptoms for witchcraft.
The story of an old woman who lives alone in a shack in Lusaka West after allegedly being abandoned by her family on suspicions of witchcraft has touched many concerned parties. The old woman, who does not know her age, only introduced herself as Tisatenji Banda, adding that she has been living alone in a shako on this farm for over 3 years now. Her nephew, Mr. Ernest Piri, in a recent phone interview with Camnet News, stated that the old woman exhibits strange behavior such as talking to herself, and also alleged that she is argumentative, making family members shun from taking her in. Speaking to Camnet News, Council of Churches in Zambia Secretary General Father Emmanuel Chikoya says many churches are to blame for such behavior, stating that most of them do not center their teachings around inculcating moral values in their congregants. He has also challenged her family members to take her for deliverance if they suspect witchcraft, as opposed to abandoning her in her old age.
A number of some churches these days have lost it, and we need to make sure that we bring back and emphasize first and foremost quality relationship with Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, then our community life as people of faith, and then our responsibility to the vulnerable.
Meanwhile, a medical doctor, Teddy Mlenga, states that more strange behavior in old age is caused by a medical condition known as dementia, and has called for more sensitization from the Ministry of Health on such diseases.
So the thinking, the feelings, the actions are disturbed. So these kind of people walk naked, they will urinate on themselves, fecal matter will just be splattered all over, and they are forgetful, loss of memory. They might even forget what they are doing most often. So unfortunately, most people think this is witchcraft.
In adding their voice to the matter, Cheshire Home's National Coordinator, Mr. Kamimanguni, says the Home of the Vulnerable will conduct assessment to determine the level of her vulnerability so as to know what steps should be taken.
So we normally do like an assessment of the such situation. Yes, then after that we are certain in terms of mental capacity, also capacity of the same person. No, of course our focus is people with disabilities. Then the aged, we also support them under our Cheshire Chawama. Yeah, so we would engage our team at Chawama Cheshire to do an assessment if she is capable of living on her own or they can admit her at the institution.
The Council of Churches in Zambia has also pledged to connect the old woman to organizations where she can be helped. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Small and medium business owners in Lusaka's Central Business have called on the new Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises Development, Elias Mubanga, to look into the challenges they face in the sector, such as lack of access to loans. Speaking to Camnet News, the business owners have also called for the depoliticization of empowerment funds.
Zambia's limited formal employment opportunities have pushed majority of citizens into the informal sector, where they have taken up various entrepreneurship ventures. The informal sector in the country mostly comprises of women and the youth, according to the International Labour Organization. All these are seeking means to earn a living. The recent approving of the Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises Development, headed by Mr. Elias Mubanga, has elated small and medium business owners in Lusaka's Central Business District. They have since called for all the challenges they face in this sector, such as the lack of access to loans, which will enable them expand their businesses, to be addressed.
But the pressure is not bezeka na hivi. Kulipe mundu ananga support taniza business yatu. Tusima zio kwa tinga ndo kutenga drama hivi ndo muhimu kama na maloni kwa support kwa business yatu.
Sibe ma capitals and then my start expandira ba customers bakatika pandiria ma customers tendo tego chetu pa mwamba. Chametunga funa watitira at least watipasa kwa capital so that nice set up business yatu. Asa mutitira bad.
The business owners have also called for empowerment schemes to be depoliticized to enable all deserving business owners benefit from the same, regardless of one's political affiliation.
In terms of empowerment, what they should do, this thing should be open. In the past, it's like it was political. Only those that belong to the ruling party benefited from this empowerment. So this time it should be open for everyone. They should make this system open. They come to the markets, they come to the streets, register people. Those that want empowerment can register themselves and get the empowerment.
They have further implored the new Minister of Small and Medium Enterprises Development to conduct regular checks on the ground to hear what people in this sector really want if the ministry is to be effective. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Northwestern Province Deputy Police Commissioner Dr. Fred Mlenga has confirmed that some unknown people had on the 15th of September 2021 trespassed Kawisot Cemetery and destroyed 25 tombstones that were built on top of the graves. Dr. Mlenga says the unknown people tampered with one graveyard of a man identified as Shadrick Kangwala, aged 103 of Kabanga compound, who was buried on Saturday, 12 September 2021. The Deputy Police Commissioner says the motives for destroying the tombstone and tampering of the graveyard by way of digging it halfway is not known, and that an inquiry file has been opened and investigations have since been launched into the matter.
This is what has remained at Kaweko Cemetery in MWINULUNGA district of Northwestern Province after some unknown people trespassed on the burial site and maliciously damaged properties belonging to the dead. Some unknown people tampered with one graveyard by way of trying to exhume the coffin of the body that was buried on Saturday, 12 September 2021. Residents rushed to the gravesite to check on the amount of damage caused and to see if their loved ones have not been disturbed.
Coffin nina basenda kalo
eza nawo
cause tetfane moneka
baseka weshima
na shove wijano na bashove
na shove wana mashinya nti
kale na mashindu wana wana wazo moneka
mashinya ni mweka nchi mashinyo chokutana na mashinya
nene mashinya te
muna mwana
umuntu omwadi umuso badzi baseka kufa
ishove wiye.
Acting on the report, police officers rushed to the scene and have confirmed that 25 tombstones have been destroyed and one grave was tampered with as a grave was found halfway dug. And Northwestern Province Police Deputy Commissioner Dr. Fred Mulenga has confirmed that the family members of the late Shadrack Kangwala, aged 103 of Kavanda compound, who was buried on Saturday 12 September 2021 were called, and that the family members verified and confirmed that the grave that was tampered with was for their relatives. They were later requested to fill the soil on the same tampered grave, which they have done. The motive for destroying the tombstone and tampering of the grave by the way of digging it halfway is not yet known. Sufficient to mention that inquiry files have been opened and investigations have since been launched into the matter. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
President Hakainde Hichilema has assured the nation that the fight against corruption will be systematic and methodical, that includes the past, present and even future state resources abuses. And the head of state has advised anyone who will be caught up in the corruption crusade not to cry victim, as no political hand will be involved in the process. The president has stated that there will be no sacred cows in the corruption crusade, adding that his position on recovering stolen state assets remain the same. President Hichilema adds that the state institutions mandated to fight grafts will deal with all matters related to corruption and other financial crimes, but calls on the nation to support the mandated bodies. The head of state made these remarks when he met a group of senior citizens under the umbrella of our Civil Deputy Association, or CEDA, led by His Grace Archbishop Telesfo Mpundu in Lusaka today. The Vice President Mutalenalumango says Zambia remains indebted to the European Union for the instrumental role played before, during and after the general election. The Vice President has hailed the EU for contributing towards strengthening Zambia's democracy.
Vice President Mutalenalumango says as long as the partnership between the AU and the government remains in existence, the Zambian democracy will thrive. Disclosing when the delegation of the AU paid courtesy call on the Vice President, Mrs. Nalumango disclosed that Zambia remains indebted to the European Union for the instrumental role played before, during and after elections.
They don't have to be the kind of cadres that we may have seen. It is a challenge to work on that. So we will continue to work with you, and that is our prayer, to continue at both organizational, grouping, and at bilateral. And therefore the issues, like the bringing of the report by the...
And the head of the European Union delegation to the Republic of Zambia in COMESA says they will continue to support the Zambian government.
We are ready.
Thank you.
We are ready and to work for the benefit of the Zambian people, because this is the most important for us. And of course for the government, because as you see, people assess the situation.
Regarding the election period, the AU representative was glad to note that the Euro delegation was allowed to carry out its duties without any interference. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The government has dispelled assertions by the opposition Patriotic Front that it endorses gay rights amid strengthening ties with countries that recognize the LGBT community. Wednesday, Patriotic Front member of the Central Committee Raphael Nakachinda claimed that the UPND wants to promote gay rights in reference to the presidential trip to the United States of America. But Minister of Information and Media Chusi Kasanda says the UPND administration upholds the declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation, hence it does not endorse things that go against biblical principles. The minister has since implored citizens to use their rights of freedom of expression responsibly.
Zambia being a Christian nation, matters pertaining to gay rights are classified as being sensitive, but it must be noted that the LGBT community has been in existence in Zambia, but however, successive governments have refused to recognize it as that contradicts Christian principles and the Zambian culture. Wednesday, 15 September 2021, PF member of the Central Committee, Raphael Nakachinda, accused the UPND government of seeking to recognize gay rights.
The Democrats in the US and President of the US, the party he leads, their policy is very clear. They will only work with governments and political leaders on any continent of the world that promote gays' rights, lesbianism. He has even proposed that now they are going to be imposing sanctions against African leaders who do not promote these rights. And that is where our president is going, as if it's an achievement.
But Minister of Information and Media, Chusi Kasanda, says the UPND administration does not support gay rights and upholds the declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation.
The president will also be holding bilateral meetings with other world leaders to ensure international cooperation, including economic promotion, for the benefit of all Zambians. Government wishes to further clarify that while the UPND manifesto is very clear on the respect of human rights, it does not promote gay rights. The UPND government recognizes and upholds Zambia as a Christian nation, both in principle and in practice. Government calls upon citizens who are rejoicing the new dawn to sympathize, forgive, and ignore the bitterness being exhibited by those who are grieving over the loss of the 12th August general elections.
The minister also cautioned people against abusing their freedom of speech by trying to make fake narratives against the government.
Government is particularly disturbed to learn that comments made by the former Minister of Water Development, Mr. Raphael Nakachinda, on the scheduled official trip to the United States of America by Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, has injured some people due to the immature, malicious, and disrespectful nature. While we acknowledge and reaffirm that Mr. Nakachinda has the right to exercise his freedom of expression, we find the comments he made about the Republican President, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to be shrouded in bitterness and inappropriate for a former cabinet minister who should be a role model to the young people.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Youth, Sports and Arts Minister Elvis Nkandu has implored all members of staff under his ministry to be result-oriented in all departments in order to achieve the intended goals. Addressing the media Thursday, Mr. Nkandu notes that the government is working under a tight budget, hence the need to demonstrate fiscal discipline. He notes that President Hichilema has placed youth participation in national governance, that the needs for the ministry to come up with policies that will spur youth employment and youth participation in the development of the country. He emphasizes that transparency and accountability might be prioritized. Meanwhile, the minister has called for transparency in the implementation of youth empowerment programs.
Continue conducting business as usual, but of course we need to change for the better. The output of the ministry should be result-based in order to meet people's expectations from the new government. I urge all directors and heads of departments to perform towards the Vision 2030, the 7th National Development Plan, the Ministry's national policies, strategic plan, and their performance contracts. Also allow me to re-emphasize the need to be very professional in the way we conduct ourselves as we execute our duties. I think there is a sense of you can now breathe, because initially there was no freedom for our colleagues in the civil service to express themselves. Now we've given you freedom, and what we expect from each and every individual in the civil service, especially in my ministry, is to make sure that they become very professional. If that does not happen, then obviously we'll conclude that it was not about freedom, but the unprofessionalism of our civil service in our ministry. You know, this has a bearing on the reputation of the ministry, and we need to operate as one entity with one common goal. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to appreciate the fact that the government is operating under tight fiscal policy. Departments are being encouraged to develop strategies that will enhance resource mobilization in the ministry. In this regard, I expect the departments to be innovative and self-sustaining in regards to mobilization of resources for program implementation by enhancing cooperating partners in program implementation.
The Governance, Elections, Advocacy Research Services GEARS has called on the Anti-Corruption Commission SEC to ensure that investigations surrounding the alleged buying of a bank with its assets worth about 3 million kwacha by a former councillor are included. GEARS Executive Director Mr. McDonough Jipenzi regrets that many other similar investigations have been made public previously but have not seen the light of day. Mr. Jipenzi says while the investigation is a good move, it should not be used as a public relations stunt without the investigation seeing the light of day.
We don't want premature information to be given out to the people and raise the anxiety, the interest, the desire of our people. And later on, no tangible results will come from that. What we want is to be very clear that we are investigating, or we are actually, we have established a prima facie case against this person and that person. This issue of saying a councillor, now you see this one councillor start saying, no, I'm not the one. Another councillor will come and say, I'm not the one. No, we are dealing with serious national issues. They can be lessons for the past, the present, and the future leaders. Because if these cases cannot be tackled now, what we expect is that the current leadership will start now behaving like the previous leadership. Because human beings learn from each other, and the environment around you definitely determines how you behave and how you conduct yourselves. And we want to appeal to all ministers and senior government officials. Let's sing this song against corruption.
In other news, the National Action for Quality Education in Zambia, NACASE, has expressed shock over the mutinies of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the Zambia Police over the widely reported suspicious recruitment of more than 3,000 teachers by the Teaching Service Commission. NACASE Executive Director Aaron Chanza says he is disappointed that thousands of unemployed teachers are claiming to have been recruited, while Teaching Service Commission is expressing ignorance about about the whole thing. Mr. Chanza says such activities are pure scandals that should worry all Zambians, especially the Anti-Corruption Commission. He says he has further indicated that people of Zambia would want to know the people behind the dubious recruitments, who he says must be brought to account. The United Party for National Development Alliance Media Director Thabo Kawana has clarified that he and his party are not lobbying for any government appointments from President Hakainde Hichilema. Responding to a statement written to the head of state by Rainbow Newspaper's proprietor, Mr. Kawana explains that he and the head of state is at liberty to select who he feels can perform according to the expectations of the Zambian people. He adds that the MDC, like any alliance partners, are not in any way using other people to lobby for anything. And Mr. Kawana, who is also MDC Media Director, has urged some media houses in the country to be quoting right sources to avoid speculations on various topics affecting the nation. Meanwhile, Rainbow Newspaper proprietor Derek Sinjela has apologized for writing a suggestive article compelling the president to appoint certain individuals.
Firstly, we must allow the president to be able to choose his team freely and collect his members of the team freely, and that it is not in our role to force, suggest or coerce the president to appoint people. And the president is just like a carpenter. When a carpenter is given the job, you don't prescribe the tools that the carpenter must carry to the job. The carpenter will carry the tools that he or she knows are necessary for him to complete that task. That is why the people of Zambia called the carpenter to fix their country. And the carpenter is President Hakainde Hichilema. The tools he will use to do so is really up to him. And the Zambian people are not interested in appointments. They didn't stand in long queues on that day to vote in their numbers for the new Dawn government, and that they were standing on the queue so that people can be appointed. They stood on that queue so that their lives would be ameliorated, and that they are voting in place a government that will come and make their lives better and reduce the cost of living, to give them a better lifestyle, to give them healthier lifestyle, to give them affordable education, and so on and so forth. They are not interested in appointments. Therefore, let's not bother the president and bog him down with appointment stories and telling him appoint this one or appoint that one. It is not correct. Speaking for myself, I think you've known that I've been in politics long enough, and I've never taken a government job. But I've been in the political scene for a very long time. So everyone knows where they play. So I know the role I play in politics. And it is not necessarily a role that I should be in a government office. There's where I play, there's where I'm effective, and I know myself. So please, for all those of you that may feel compelled to try and suggest that we or people like ourselves be given jobs in government, please keep those sentiments to yourselves for now. Don't lobby for us. Don't talk for us. It sounds rude, but it remains true that we don't need that kind of lobbying.
Retract the message that I sent. I thought that I was doing Comrade Thabo Kawana, the media director for the United Party for National Development, UPND Media Alliance, in favor by erroneously asking the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, to appoint him as a GMMU national coordinator, or if that is not the case, to give him any senior portfolio in the government. But it has come to my attention that I've caused the Comrade Kawana a terrible annoyance, and I would like to plead with the President of the Republic of Zambia, Comrade Hakainde Hichilema, the 7th President of this Republic, that I did it in my personal capacity as a citizen. I thought as a senior citizen in the Zambian media, I would be doing him a favor, but I didn't know that I had erred.
Some Zambians have opted to take a lead in actualizing the diversification agenda into agriculture to reduce overdependence in the mining sector. Experts say the agriculture sector has a great potential of enhancing the national food basket and create employment for the majority of unemployed citizens, thereby reducing poverty vulnerabilities. In response to this, Genuine Millionaires Movement Limited have ventured into farming with various people buying shares to be part of the limited company. Chief Brand Ambassador Chileka Mambwe says so far the movement is into livestock, aquaculture and horticulture and will continue to explore the sector.
Several governments have come and gone with a call on the private sector to highly participate in the agriculture sector and help the country reduce its dependency on the mining sector. In this regard, Zambians have come up with an initiative to form a cooperative known as Jochi Genuine Millionaires. With a membership of over 1,000, the cooperative is involved in livestock, aquaculture, as well as horticulture.
Here, this is going to, because it's hard to grow rain-fed onions in Zambia. So this nursery is going to help us to actually irrigate the nursery for 3 months. By December, we'll be able to actually put in the soil, transplant rather, and that will give us 5 hectares of onions, rain-fed onions. By March, the onions will be ready for sale. So before we transplant the onions, what we are going to do is we are going to put in the watermelons. Watermelons per lima actually give a lot of money. So you find that these are the same people again who are putting monies together. So the issue of government, us depending on government for FISIP alone, ask people in town, let FISIP maybe go to the villagers. Ask people in town, we've got enough 150 and we can put together, buy our own fertilizer like you have seen. We did not ask from the government. Buy our own seed like you have seen. We did not ask from the government. So this is the best way we can actually supplement the efforts of the government. For instance, we have a Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises, SMEs. And that ministry, for it to work, it's not for Zambians to expect government to give us money. If that is the route the government is going to take to fund us, they can't manage. What we need is to get Zambians with the like minds to come together. Imagine if this were to be replicated in every district.
Brand Ambassador Chileka Mambwe says the project is aimed at meeting the local and international demand for the market.
Project where Zambians have come together to realize that by March, for instance, there will be a deficit of onions. And Zambia has been importing onions from Malawi and other nations like South Africa. So we are now filling in the gap. We have said, okay, fine, there is this gap. So what we can do is to come together, put monies together, and get a farm like this one, so that by March we can have some serious, tons or cages to not only sell in Zambia, but we can also, sell, to other neighboring countries like, Congo TR.
Other partners spoke to encourage others to join and help turn around the fortunes of their families and the nation at large.
About this same Genuine Millionaire, I just knew that I belong here. For me, this is home now. And I am going to ensure that I work with the movement to see that this comes to a fruition. Okay, they try to do business, it fails because you need some kind of concentration on that business. So because of that, I heard about Genuine Millionaires who are actually able to invest money on your behalf and start a project like this one. And all you do is sit back and watch your investment growing. So that was one of the reasons why, I'm old. I'm 64 years old. So really to start business at 64, it's not very easy.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
Would you like to win some cool cash? Say no more. Stand a chance to win your share of 1 million kwacha. Simply make a transaction from your Zamtel mobile money account and you could be one of weekly winners of up to 10,000 kwacha. Be empowered with Zamtel mobile money. Dial *344# to activate your account. This promotion runs from 28th July to 31st October 2021. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN, 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28th September 2021. Any late payment made after 28th September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. The Food Reserve Agency FRA has assured farmers in some satellite depots of Mchinga province experiencing erratic supply of empty grain bags that 90,000 empty grain bags have been dispatched to the province, with more expected to be dispatched soon. FRA Public Relations Officer John Chipandwe says the agency says suppliers of empty grain bags have continued delivering to the agency on a daily basis, and that as of Thursday, 16th September 2021, an additional delivery of 262,000 bags were received by FRA from suppliers, and part of the consignment has immediately dispatched to Mchinga province. Mr. Chimpandwe has therefore assured the farmers in affected provinces that the situation in satellite depots will start getting back to normal very soon. Patriotic Front Mandevu area member of Parliament Christopher Shakafutswa has submitted before the Lusaka High Court that he was not involved in any illegalities for him to win the elections, as alleged by the UPND losing candidate Aaron Mlope. This is in a matter where Mr. Mlope has filed a petition in the Lusaka High Court seeking a nullification of the results, a recount, among other claims.
Mandevu area member of Parliament Christopher Shakafutswa has filed in his response before the Lusaka High Court in a case he is petitioned by UPND losing candidate Aaron Molope over the just-ended general election and has denied all the allegations stated by the petitioner. The Mandeville UPND losing candidate, who has petitioned the election of PF's Christopher Shakafuswa, is citing violence and other illegal practices which allegedly characterized the campaigns and elections in the constituency. Mr. Molope, in this matter, has cited Mr. Shakafuswa, and the Electoral Commission of Zambia has responded and is seeking nullification of the results, a recount, among other claims. In his petition, he had alleged that the campaigns and the elections were characterized by violence, which on May 19 subsequently resulted in the assault of Frank Kaunga, a UPND polling agent at Mulungishu Ward 21 in Mandeville constituency, by about 100 PF cadres who were members of Mr. Shakafuswa's campaign team. He claims that the cadres launched an attack on his campaign team as they conducted their door-to-door campaign while distributing campaign materials to the residents in Olympia. However, Mr. Shakafuswa, in his response to the petition, has submitted before court that he did not have any involvement either or indirectly in the alleged illegalities stated by the petitioner. Mr. Shakafuswa has told the court that the mentioned votes were freely casted by the people in the constituency and he had not used any unlawful means to get the said votes. The case continues. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Constitutional Court has allowed the application by Chapter 1 Foundation Limited to amend the petition in which they petitioned the former head of state, President Edgar Lungu, for passing a Correctional Service Bill number 35 of 2021 after the dissolution of Parliament. This is in a case where Chapter 1 Foundation has petitioned President Edgar Lungu for assenting to the Correctional Service Bill number 35 of 2021 when his parliamentary mandate expired following the dissolution of Parliament, but the court removed the president from the case and replaced him with former Attorney General Likando Kalaluka as a respondent in the case.
The petition commenced against former head of state Edgar Lungu in June this year by Chapter 1 Foundation that he had assented to the Correctional Service Bill number 35 of 2021 when his parliamentary mandate expired following the dissolution of Parliament has been ordered for amendment. This is following an application made by Chapter 1 through its lawyers that the petition be amended after they submitted that the petition was in a pecuniary position because the alleged acts were committed by a person who is no longer holding the office of the president. Subsequently, amend the scope of the issues alleged in the petition as it refers to President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. In this matter, the non-government organization had petitioned the former head of state, President Edgar Lungu, for assenting to the Correctional Service Bill number 35 of 2021 after his parliamentary mandate expired following the dissolution of Parliament. However, the court removed him from the case and replaced him with the former Attorney General Likando Kalaluka because he enjoys immunity and cannot be sued. In this petition, Chapter 1 Foundation Limited wants the Constitutional Court to give a conservatory order staying the Zambia Correctional Service Act number 35 of 2021 and restoring the Prisons Act Chapter 97 of the laws of Zambia pending determination of the petition. The non-government organization further seeks a declaration that to the extent that the said bill was passed by the former president, Chapter 1 Foundation further seeks a declaration that to the extent that the said bill was passed by the former president after the dissolution of Parliament on May 13, 2021, it was not law enacted by Parliament, therefore it is now void. And in making the application to amend the petition, the petitioner through its lawyers submitted before court that the Correctional Service Bill was not the only act or bill that was passed during the said period, but instead there are 18 others, and following this discovery, they have to get further instructions from their client on how to proceed, and if possible necessary amendment of the petition ought to be done. The court has since granted their application. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Operation Save MMD members have asked the Lusaka High Court to dismiss the application to raise preliminary issues by Ms. Elizabeth Chitika, where they are being accused of abusing the court process by re-litigating issues already pronounced. The 20 state that the notice of motion to raise preliminary issues lacks merit. In this matter, Mr. Geoffrey Mulenga and 19 others sued MMD President Dr. Nevus Mumba, Ms. Chitika as Party National Secretary, and 4 others are seeking a declaration that the extraordinary convention held on March 20, 2021 was null and void and that they breached the party's constitution. They also want the court to direct the Registrar of Societies to appoint an interim committee during the determination of the matter. However, Ms. Chitika filed a notice of motion raising preliminary issues which include the court's jurisdictions to determine the matter as the issues raised by the 20 in the right of summon and statement of claim were the subject of another action. But Mr. Mulenga, on behalf of the other 19, states that was the 3rd time Ms. Chitika and the other defendants were raising preliminary issues. He states that there was also an application to stay proceedings as well as an appeal in the Courts of Appeal. Some persons living with cross-cutting disabilities in Lusaka demand the suspension of management at the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, ZAPD, citing corruption and bad leadership. Speaking to Camnet News, Pressure Group Secretary General Rabi Maila says ZAPD has failed to live up to its mandate of advocating for persons living with cross-cutting disabilities. Mr. Maila accused ZAPD Director General Julian Mwape of abusing her position by influencing members of the ZAPD to act against the now government while it was in the opposition. And in responding to the allegations, Ms. Mwape says the accusations labeled against her are baseless, saying she has delivered to the best of her abilities.
Probo basapiti na management yonse bafunyeko nga bayifunya nishu minister wa basala community development nishu kyabomba bwino bantu ababaliko bantu aba makadazi ba PF iyi corruption barebisha ba president papa barushe kusapiti. That institution is very corrupt and
ba minister ba former minister ba wanani kandi ba Mulenga Kampamba balishire Twitter ama disabled no kweba ti nimpela nimfanding endalama 7.8 billion kuli bazapiti kutila bamipele nomba issue endalama 7.8 billion nindalama ishingisa ama project yetu alembesha kweba ama empowerment yetu alembesha nefinto fe tulefwayo kweba ti tuchite twaya kuzapiti baletu batabakwete endalama.
At no time has the former minister issued such a statement, because it's not true. There have been no funds of that nature that have been allocated to persons with disabilities. Everything that government does is gazetted, so no such monies were released. If there was such money, it would have been in the media for everyone to see. So those calls are actually, they are false.
Ministry of Health Director of Public Health Dr. Andrew Silumesi has noted with concern that some adolescents lack access to relevant health information. Speaking during the project launch on enhancing adolescent sector reproductive health, rights and services in Lusaka, organized by Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia, Dr. Silumesi says this has resulted in an increase in disease of public health concerns. And Ministry of Health Chief Nursing Officer Adolescent Chowa Kasengelo says there is a breakdown in communication between parents and adolescents on sexual reproductive health, which has been contributing to the behavior of some adolescents.
Raising awareness on adolescent sexual reproductive health, rights and services remains the #1 key to solving most adolescent disasters that negatively impact their lives. While adolescents are advised to stay away from sexual activities until they are ready, high teenage pregnancies have continued to indicate that adolescents are actively engaging in sexual reproductive activities against biblical principles. This is the more reason why Alliance for Accountability Advocates Zambia has embarked on a project championing adolescent sexual reproductive health, rights and services.
This particular project, our aim is training 80 youths in Mochinga, Eastern Province, Copper Belt, and right now we are doing a training in Lusaka, and the youths and adolescents in this training are getting capacity building on social accountability, policy analysis and monitoring, budget tracking, and also getting to know the legal frameworks that are behind or that support the sexual reproductive health in Zambia.
And speaking at the same event, Ministry of Health Chief Nursing Officer Adolescents Chowa Kasengelo says parents in the country have to establish relationship with their adolescents in order to address sexual reproductive matters.
Certain things are a taboo to talk about to your fellow children. You tend to shun away. And in so doing, you find the information which your adolescent in your own home is getting from the friends or from Mr. Google will be different than getting information from your significant other, like the mother, the aunt, the sister. So we found a break in communication. So what we are doing as a unit, we've now started encouraging families to take up their role.
And some participants at the workshop are happy that the program has enabled them gain more insight in not only adolescent sexual reproductive issues, but other policies that govern the country.
We've learned a lot about sex and sexuality, and then also the human rights that are important for the realization of the sexual rights of these adolescents.
First, I was giving out information based on myth to say, yeah. But now I'll give information based on facts, because it's something that I'm actually aware of, something that I'm more knowledgeable of.
While technology has brought a lot of good, it has equally brought some harm in that most adolescents are now using technology to satisfy their curiosity about sexual reproductive health, rights and services. While parents are shunning away from discussing such matters with their adolescents, it is high time that the country went back to the values of parents teaching their children real facts about what it means to indulge in sexual reproductive activities. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market? Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties, on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Camnet TV turns 5. We are excited to be the best community Christian TV channel within Zambia and across the world. With our programming for all age groups, talk of sermons, movies, kids programs, music, talk shows, developmental programs, and our unbiased, factual and balanced news. To you, our viewers, we're saying thank you for being part of this journey. Happy 5th anniversary. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
At Savenda Express Printing, we have the capacity to deliver quality in all kinds of printing services timely. Our lines of production include screen printing, embroidery, lithography, and large format printing. We take pride in delivering quality work at very competitive rates with our in-house, highly experienced and qualified designers. With the ability to print full color and embossing prints, our state-of-the-art screen printing machines are able to print 1,000 pieces per hour. Our embroidery machines are able to print any logo with 1 or up to 12 colors all at once and has an output capacity of 100 pieces per hour. Savenda Express Printing also does large format printing for billboards, banners, vinyl, car stickers, posters, tire covers, cups, pens, bags, flasks, packaging boxes, and well, just anything that can need printing. For inquiries, give us a call on 0960 344 471.
The Camnet October Conference is fast approaching. To participate in the forthcoming conference, you're required to book your seat by paying 750 kwacha per person per day. Date 1st and 2nd October 2021. Venue The Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Guest speakers include Professor Reda, Professor Munkumba, Mr. Nkuruma Kalaluka, Dr. Musonda, Dr. Sitima, Anthony from USA, Dr. Mwale, Honorable Bob Sichinga, Elias Bondela, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiluba.
You can also participate via Zoom at 300 kwacha per day.
Make your payments through mobile money. For MTN, 096 296 5883. For Airtel, 097 975 3010. Our banking details are 913 000 182 5325. Stanbic Bank, Kablonga Branch.
For those living abroad, make payments via Wild Remit. The deadline for payments will be 28 September 2021. Any late payment made after 28 September will attract a penalty fee of 200 kwacha per person.
Welcome back. Now getting into our international item. Dr. Bidzole Ondifo has raised concern that most women in Cameroon mining community face serious health risks due to exposure to mercury. Meanwhile, the Philippine government says it will not cooperate with an investigation by the International Criminal Court into its so-called war on drugs. The ICC approved an inquiry into alleged crimes against humanity in President Rodrigo Duterte's campaign on Wednesday.
Sieves in hand, soaked for hours in water in the hopes of finding some gold nuggets. In this open pit mine, the gesture has become commonplace for gold miners in the village of Kambele 3, located more than 400 kilometers from Yaoundé. Here, a crowd of vulnerable people, such as children and pregnant women, glean the gold residues that may have escaped from this mine, operated by a Chinese firm. The activity here is dangerous, particularly for women. As soon as the mercury enters the woman's bottoms, as you can see, dirt enters and causes damage. Indeed, it scratches a woman's body. Men also. Down there, at the level of the women's sexual organs, it causes problems. Mercury exposure at high levels can harm the brain, heart, kidneys, and lungs. Among the gold panners, many are those who have had what they call the wound on intimate parts. We begin to itch as the mercury gets into us. It hurts. Even at home, it makes wounds. And when you scratch it, it hurts even further. Others go to the hospital. Recently, it was said that it had eaten away a woman's vagina and gotten into her belly. She went to the hospital, and that was the next thing that I heard. At the Baturi Catholic Hospital, Dr. Betsalel Ndifo is one of the regulars for patients with vaginal lesions. Over time, he realized that most of the patients worked in the mines and immediately made the connection to mercury. Mercury is used by almost all large-scale miners to facilitate the separation of gold from tailings. If it is true that mercury can cause lesions when ingested through the skin and digestive tract, it is also true that if there is contact at the genital level, since the woman is immersed in water containing mercury during this work, then they would get it. It is also understandable that the sex and reproductive system, especially the vagina, which are also exposed to this liquid containing mercury, can be damaged. Since December 2018, Cameroon has been a party to the Minamata Convention on Mercury, a convention that commits states to reduce or even eliminate this product from the artisanal gold mining process. Yet, in this mining city, this dangerous product abounds.
Adnan Abu Walid al-Sahrawi was behind the killing of 6 French charity workers and their Nigerian driver last year. President Emmanuel Macron hailed the operation as a success in France's fight against armed groups in West Africa's Sahel.
When it comes to the International Criminal Court, the Philippine government's stand has always been consistent. It says it does not recognize ICC's jurisdiction over President Rodrigo Duterte and his government after it has withdrawn as a signatory of the Rome Statute in 2019. But the Hague-based tribunal has remained defiant and announced it will open a full investigation into Duterte's so-called war on drugs, which has killed thousands of Filipinos. The Philippine government says at least 6,000 people have been killed in police-led operations since 2016. But rights groups believe that number could go as high as 30,000. Duterte's drug war is implemented across the country. Many of the victims were women and children, and most of them come from impoverished communities. This is why Duterte's drug war has long been seen as one against the poor.
As long as they give us at least a sliver of hope, and I think it's not even just a sliver, is a big window of opportunity as a chance for the victims to have an alternative, if not parallel venue, because their own judicial system, from their perspective and perception, have failed them.
The investigation will also cover a period when Duterte was mayor of Davao City in the southern Philippines, where prosecutors believe there has been a similar, repeated pattern of extrajudicial killings.
It's going to be a bloody fight.
Many believe Duterte's rhetoric serves as strong evidence that extrajudicial killings in the Philippines are state-sponsored. Even though it may take months or years before witnesses are called to testify or warrants may be issued, families of drug war victims already see this as a moral victory and a step towards justice. They say President Rodrigo Duterte may be popular domestically, but he holds the distinction of being the only Filipino leader to be tried and investigated in the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. Jamela Alindogan, Al Jazeera, Manila.
We now get into our sports item. KAFUE Celtic Football Club says it will take a keen interest to promote young talent. In an interview with Camnet Sports Team Chief Executive Officer Leonard Kawanu has appealed to young people who are determined and have the ability to play football to join the KAFUE Celtic Football Club.
Football is the world's most popular ball game in numbers of participants and audiences. Simple in its principal rules and essential equipment, the sport can be played almost anywhere, from official football playing fields to streets, school playgrounds, parks, or beaches. With its aim of providing the best football coaching of a profession standard to young players with ambition of progressing in the game with KAFUE Celtic Football Club, the club chief executive officer says they have embarked on building a football academy that will focus on bringing unique talent from the footballers.
Sport. Yes, you prefer as a kid. I think we encourage that. But obviously our focus has always been on football. And I think you can see that through our team. We actually have a team all the way from under 9 going to under 12, under 14. So our passion for football doesn't just begin and end with our main team. We actually start all the way from the kids. So if you're a kid out there and you think you've got talent, We're always conducting trials, trying to pick the best kids possible. So give it a go. You never know where you end up. People should remember that when Patson started, he was just a little teenager. You know, he was 13 years old, but look at him now. So this is the place where we believe if you have the determination and the ability and the skill, your dreams can come true at KAFUE Celtic Football Club. So we pride ourselves on that, and that is why we are building an academy which will really focus on football.
And one of the players has thanked Indobank Zambia for having supported the club with 30,000 United States dollars sponsorship for the Premier League season 2021-2022.
It's really, inspiring. We are motivated, so to say, and we're looking forward to do our level best so at least we can meet the standards that we've put up and what people expect from us.
Celtic's emphasis on youth development and the creation of player pathways has seen players like Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu, and Francisco Mwepu being drafted to play in Europe. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. The Zambian government distances itself from promoting gay rights. Unknown people ravaged the graveyard in MWINULUNGA district. The church taught to focus on underprivileged citizens in international news. Exposure to mercury in mining town damaging health of women in Cameroon. And in sports, KAFUE Celtic Football Club keen to nurture more footballers. Before we go, here is our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of Philippians 4 verse 8, and it reads, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any more moral excellence, and if there is any praise, dwell on these things." Thank you for joining me. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.